Hey, it's Sparky Fifer, 1250 AM The Fan. Follow me at Sparky Radio. Our guy Ryan Horvat, BetMGM tonight, weeknights, part of the BetQL Radio Network. Follow him on Twitter at Ryan Horvat. Him, Tristan Crick, Nick Ashu. Weeknights, again, during the tournament, they have been money. Ryan Horvat has been especially money. I mean, San Diego State is all he was preaching last week. That's all he was preaching on Friday's podcast. Go back and listen. San Diego State, San Diego State. I was like, we'll see about San Diego State. Boom, hit it on the Owls. And then what was the next one that you hit after that? You hit another one right after
San Diego State and Florida Atlantic, baby.
Florida Atlantic was the other one. Yeah.
My teams. Yeah, I got the Aztecs and the Owls. So, yeah, it was good. It was a good weekend for me. Other than, Texas lost, and I did like Texas. So that's
Florida Atlantic. I wake up that morning and I see Horvat just tweet out an owl symbol. I'm like, okay, he's riding with Florida Atlantic. All right, fine. We'll see how this plays out for him. And he hit it. Man, you're awesome, man. You're doing great job.
Going back to him again this weekend. I think Florida Atlantic's going to the national title game. Really quick on them, man. What's amazing is they're the fifth smallest team to ever make the NCAA tournament. They're the smallest team in the entire country, but they have that big 7-foot dude, 7'1" dude. So they keep destroying all these teams on the glass. Like everybody thought, Tennessee was just going to destroy them on the glass, and they didn't. And then the same thing. They out-rebounded Kansas State by like 25. They're a fun story. And they won 31 games. It just shows that the committee is always trying to screw over the little guy. Had to get that off my chest really quick.
Go
Owls.
We were watching Florida Atlantic, and Kay goes, Florida Atlantic? What does that campus look like? So I brought it up, dude. It is a gorgeous campus, man. And like the dorms are like apartments, and oh my God. And it's, if you're a Florida resident, I think it's $5,000 a year, $6,000 a year if you're a Florida resident. And if you're not a Florida resident, I think it's like $25 a year. Include room and board and the whole deal, something like that. So
that sounds about right.
That's the deal on Florida Atlantic. All right, let's go here. Lots to talk about, obviously, from the owners' meetings. That was the fun part of the podcast. Now I have a feeling it's going to turn to some emotions, and probably not good ones. Of the two that talked, between Gutekunst and LaFleur, I'm beside myself mad. Gutekunst, not as mad, but I think Ryan Horvat might be mad on that one. So this is going to be fun to see how we both go. So let's go over some of the stuff from Brian Gutekunst. If you would have told me, Ryan Horvat, that Gutekunst would have taken shots at Rodgers at the owners' meeting, I would have said no chance. There's no way. He's going to play above board. He's going to play it straight down the middle. He's not going to say nothing. But that's not exactly how he decided to do it necessarily at the end of the day. And I am kind of surprised by it, but at the same point, I don't necessarily believe him. Or I don't blame him, I should say. So Gutekunst said this is from Ryan Wood's Twitter feed, expecting a follow-up conversation with the Rodgers after their initial offseason talk. When the quarterback was inaccessible, Gutekunst prepared for a trade. Quote, I had to do my job and kind of reach out to other teams. Now understand a trade could be possible. Gutekunst unsuccessfully tried to contact Aaron Rodgers, quote, many times in the offseason. Quote, there came time we had to make some decisions. We went through his reps to talk to him about where we were going with our team. They informed us they would like to be traded to the Jets. That is from Ryan Wood's Twitter comment, Brian Gutekunst. Also, Gutekunst asked about his reaction to Aaron Rodgers saying something, quote, something changed from Packers intent after the quarterback's darkness retreat. Quote, I can't speculate on what he means by that because we never had any conversations. Now, I will admit to you, initially, I thought to myself, okay, did they reach out while he was in the darkness retreat so they could say they reached out, knowing damn right well there was no chance he was going to respond? Oh, we'll text him like 3 or 4 times in these days while he's in the darkness retreat. Then we can go to the media and say, we tried to get a hold of him. He didn't get back to us. What are we supposed to do? It's not our fault. He isn't around his phone, right? So that was me thinking, okay, are they being devious? And was those the times they reached out to him? Was they knew he wouldn't respond? So that's what they're going to use as their evidence. Don't know, won't know until we hear Aaron Rodgers' side. And I'm sure we'll hear Aaron Rodgers' side here at some point. So now it becomes who do you believe, right? Do you believe Goody and the Packers, or do you believe Rodgers' side of things in this whole thing? And we're right back to Favre and Ted and Favre and McCarthy. We're back in the same boat again of who do you believe and who don't you believe. So we'll go to the president of the Aaron Rodgers fan club, Ryan Horvat. Who do you believe?
So I don't know who I believe. I'm going to take Rodgers' side on this. Big surprise, I know. But also, I don't really have a huge issue with Gutekunst, to be honest with you. Like, I'm ready to move on just like everybody's ready to move on. I'm ready for Rodgers to be a Jet and Jordan Love to be the starting quarterback.
Yep.
Just kind of like here for a quick, I don't know if this relates, but like, for example, I mean, like the way that we get taught, I just wish, okay, so let's say Rodgers is full of crap. I almost just wish Goot was like, hey, look, this is between us. I have nothing to say. Rodgers, Aaron was a great Packer for 18 years.
You want him to be above board and be classy about it.
Because, like, for example, man, like, I mean, there's been times where, like, I mean, even in our industry, like somebody went to another station. I didn't do anything to some said person, started taking shots at me because for no reason at all. And we had bosses or program directors that were like, you can't like be the bigger man. Just leave it alone. And even though I wanted to be like exactly like Goot wanted to be like,
happens all the time.
Nuts. Yeah, you have to be the grown up, especially when you're the general manager of a football team. That's my only issue, though. Like I completely.
Oh, this is my thing, Horvat. And I
don't remember with these two. It's a you know what measuring contest, and that's my problem. I'm over both of them. I feel bad for LaFleur. Go on.
Were you here? Because I don't remember when you got here specifically. Were you? You weren't here when Braun and Fielder were here, were you?
Not at the station. No, okay. I was in high school.
So go back to the Brewers when Braun and Fielder were here towards the end.
Yeah.
And Braun was complaining about not having enough pitching in the bullpen or whatever the case might be, and they need to figure out an upgrade to that or whatever. And Doug Melvin had enough and went off in the media and said Ryan should worry about playing baseball and not worry about being general manager, and I'll take care of the pitching, and just lit him up in the media and lost it. That was very unlike Doug Melvin. Doug Melvin did. I was like, damn, he just roasted him. Braun didn't say another word publicly about pitching the rest of his career in Milwaukee. That was the end of it. Never again. And I was like, all right, Doug, go show him who's boss. That's all right. And in this case here, this is a situation where I am almost positive Goody has had all this built up inside of him for several years, and he's not said a word because he gave him the best option to win, and he's my quarterback, and I'm just going to keep it above board in the public and not say anything. But now that he knows it's over, to hell with all this. I'm going to let everybody know I don't like him being on McAfee because he made comments about him airing his grievances in the public, in the media or whatever else. So he let that out. Enough is enough. And I'm telling you right now, no general manager would want him on Pat McAfee. This is not a Packers thing. Joe Douglas of the Jets is not going to want him on McAfee either to have to deal with this circus. But
he's going to be on there.
He's going to have to deal with the circus probably next year.
You know what? That's why I love the guy.
Correct. So you have to deal with that, right? And Goody has had enough of that. And then the whole, he's not getting back to me. Guys, listen, I don't know who's telling the truth either. Just like Ryan, just like you. We have no idea who's telling the truth.
Yeah.
But do I lean towards buying Goody that he wasn't responding? Because if Rodgers is who Rodgers says he is, which is he likes his alone time, he likes his Zen time, he likes trying to find himself and not really knowing what he wants to do and give an answer. So I'm sure in Rodgers' mind, it's like, I'm not responding because I don't even know if I want to play with the Packers. I got to figure that out first before I even respond to this dude. So he can just wait until I figure out what I want to do going forward. Meanwhile, Goody isn't where where Rodgers may think he is. And Goody may have been like, dude, all right, I'm open to you coming back, but let's talk about what this is going to look like if you do come back going forward. So again, I don't know who's telling the truth. I have no idea. I'm not going to call either one a liar. But do I tend to lean toward believing Goody because Rodgers was trying to find himself even leading up to the darkness retreat, didn't have an answer, wasn't sure if he wanted to play for the Packers, didn't want to go down a line of thinking with Goody of what he wanted to see done in the offseason if he didn't want to be there. But at the same time, he didn't want to be the bad guy and say, I don't want to be here even though you want me here. I don't want to do that. So instead, he played it out and then used players around the league were telling me he's trying to trade me. Now I'm not the bad guy. So now my representatives will call him back and tell him I want to go to the Jets. That's kind of what it feels like, but I have no idea.
You know why I take Rodgers' side is because of the way that like things have went down with the former Packers. And I know that that's a little bit overblown. That's just how the National Football League goes. I mean, look at the Patriots. Look at winning organizations. You say goodbye to players 2 years, maybe a year too early. And that's what the Packers do. And that's why, 2 Super Bowls, my lifetime, but they're in the playoffs every single year. They win the NFC North every other year, if not every year. So, that's what you do. I get it. It's a business. But I think like if you're Rodgers, so they probably knew Rodgers was on the fence, right? They knew Rodgers was going into the darkness. So it's easy for Goot to be like, look, we didn't have any conversations because he knew Rodgers was probably going to take that time. Rodgers comes out of the darkness, sees they're ready to move on because Brian was always ready to move on. I don't think Matt's ready to move on. I think Brian's ready to move on. His guy. last year was fed up with Rodgers' play after giving him that big contract. He looks on the TV. He sees the bad body language. He sees the long hair. He hears this guy's eating mushrooms during the offseason. It's not what you want from your starting quarterback. Let's be honest, man, because like that's the position where, you know, you don't want the Deshaun Watsons. You want you want the Tom Brady's. You want like, you know, the Russell Wilsons, not so much last year, but the clean cut
right
Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yep.
I mean, you don't want your quarterback being a problem. And Rodgers has become, like you said, he's on McAfee. He's just too much of a problem for Brian Gutekunst. So Brian's ready to move on. But I take Rodgers' side on this just because of like when Brian's ready to move on from dudes, he's a shrewd businessman. And I guess that's the way he should be. He's a general manager. Look at the way they treated Jordy Nelson. I say treated because before just cutting him, the pay cut that they asked him to take was just completely disrespectful. Even Greg Jennings, Aaron Rodgers' #1 hater. I was watching the Carton Show with my guy, Cody Decker, and even Greg Jennings took Aaron Rodgers' side, and he said that's what the Packers do. I'm sure Clay Matthews would take his side. In a year or two, I'm sure Bakhtiari will take
This is my thing, Ryan, right? I don't understand this. Like, I want one of these dudes that have problems to tell me how it's supposed to be. So, like, when the Vikings were done with Greg Jennings, did they give him a hug, buy him some flowers, tell him, sorry, Greg, we're going to have to move on. We really loved and appreciated you here. Here's a Rolex watch for your time spent in Minnesota. Good luck in your future endeavors. Like, what the hell is happening in all these other organizations when they let players go? That's so different than what the Green Bay Packers are doing. Because clearly, based on these other dudes that are complaining about how they let guys go, clearly the Packers are not doing something that the other organizations do. I don't know what that is, but I'd like to know what that is, just so Brian Gutekunst can know what the hell he's doing wrong, so we can stop all this nonsense going forward. Because again, okay, we're done. Have a nice day. See you later. We're moving on. Now, I can understand you have a problem of, well, they didn't call my agent to tell me they were done. Okay, but here's a little clue. If they're not calling your agent, it means they don't want you. I mean, I guess maybe it would be good for Brian to call each individual player and be like, dude, I know you're the 86th guy on the roster, but we're going to have to move on, and you're not going to make the team coming out of training camp, buddy. Good luck to you, or whatever. I mean, I really don't understand all these hard feelings that everybody has towards Gutekunst, and obviously they're well-deserved because there's more than one guy. It's not just one guy complaining about this. They're all complaining about it, and they complained about it with Ted too, I think.
Oh, you mean the former Packers,
yes.
Right?
Complaining about how they were let go, how they were treated.
I have never seen a fan base carry water for a general manager. Maybe it's just social media because social media is not real. I've never seen a fan base carry more water for a general manager. I actually have them written down every single. Can you tell me, can we do this real quick? Can you tell me what Brian Gutekunst does well? Let's do this. I know that there's a couple players. You're going to bring up Jair Alexander, but he doesn't really have good relationships with his star players, does he? Because Devontae Adams, in my opinion, is still the best wide receiver in the league. Even if you're going to Jordan Love, you know who Jordan Love would probably love to throw the ball to this year? Devontae Adams.
They couldn't say that's Rodgers' fault. That's not Devontae's fault.
And they try to franchise tag the best wide receiver in the league. Like, people don't like Brian Gutekunst. And
but Brian, I disagree. That Devontae Adams thing was clearly on Rodgers. If they knew for sure Rodgers was ready to play and go forward, and this wasn't going to be a thing for the next 3 or 4 years, they would have taken care of Devontae immediately. But they couldn't because they didn't know how much Rodgers was going to demand, and they were screwed with the question marks hanging over Aaron Rodgers. Robert Tonyan just talked to the Bears press conference, and they asked him about what was going on and the uncertainty or whatever, and Tonyan goes, oh, that's every year in Green Bay. We have the uncertainty. I mean, these players were sick of having to deal with is he playing or isn't he playing? And okay. Devontae too. Now, Devontae got screwed because he didn't think Derek Carr was only going to be there for a year and get cut or traded or whatever the hell happened with him. Cut. He didn't see that coming. He thought he'd be late for Derek Carr for 5 years, not have to worry about his quarterback. Goes there, and here we go again. Now he's got Jimmy G.
Okay, name me your favorite. You could throw in Jimmy Graham if you want. Okay, and I guess Amos and the Smith brothers for a year. All right, who are your favorite free agent signings? Big names that Brian Gutekunst brought in. Are we talking about Rasul Douglas and Devondre Campbell?
Za'Darius. That's probably the best
year until he checked out.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, as far as what he gave you for the time he was there, Za'Darius was probably his best free agent signing, I'd say, of all of them. Preston Smith has turned out really well. He's played longer than I think anybody thought he would be for Green Bay. Remember, when they signed both of those guys, a majority of the media said they overpaid for them. They weren't worth the money. Goody better be right, and he was right, and it did work out.
Okay, let's go through really quickly. Rapid fire. Just tell me good pick, bad pick. Jair Alexander, 2018. We're going to agree. Good pick, right? Yep. Second round, Josh Jackson out of Iowa. Good pick, bad pick. Third round, Oren Burks out of Vanderbilt. Good pick, bad pick.
Bad pick.
Fourth round, Jamon, where am I now? More.
He didn't even end up on a roster outside. I think he went to Miami and got released there. So, yeah, that was horrible.
Cole Madison. Did that guy ever play an NFL game?
I don't think. Maybe one or two. Maybe.
Fifth round. Yeah. Fifth round. J.K. Scott. Where's he at right now?
I don't know where he's punting.
He was on Faith in the Zone with Mike McGivern. That was my favorite J.K. Scott memory. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, good pick, fifth round.
That late?
Where's he at?
Yeah.
Catching touchdowns with the world champs. EQ, terrible. James Looney.
Wait, EQ still in the league. And where was he drafted?
He was drafted in the sixth round.
That's pretty good. Still playing in the league. Yeah.
Okay, now with the Packers. James Looney, Hunter Bradley, Kendall Donnerson. All right, we move on to 2019. Rashawn Gary, great pick from Gutekunst. All right, first round, pick number 21, Darnell Savage. Good pick, bad pick.
Average pick? I don't know. Obviously, we don't know yet. We'll see. But last year was not good. No.
All right, Elton Jenkins, good pick.
Great
All
pick.
Right, Jay Sternberger, not in the league.
No.
Kingsley Kiki.
No.
Kingsley suck. Kader Holman out of Toledo.
No.
Okay. Dexter Williams. Remember when he came back for like a week this year? Hell yeah. Ty Summers, not with the team anymore. He did send me a birthday.
He's still in the league.
No mean words about him. All right, let's go to 2020. Here's Goot's big one, the draft for the future, even though we're coming off the NFC Championship game where we get gashed on the ground. Jordan Love, to be decided. A.J. Dillon in the second round.
That seems like a reach based on what we've seen.
Josiah DeGuara in the third round.
No.
Kamal Martin, fifth round.
He was hurt and was hurt again, and that was the end of him.
John Runyon.
Good pick. Really good pick.
Jake Hansen.
Still hanging around, but no.
Simon Stepaniak, right?
Yeah, from Indiana. He's still playing, too, in the league, I believe.
Vernon Scott.
Who?
Yeah.
Vernon Scott? No. Yep. Safety? No.
Jonathan Garvin. All right, let's roll through. We know this year's draft, so really quickly, 2021. Eric Stokes. Let's just say to be decided, right?
No. Well, we'll get to Eric Stokes because something that LaFleur said has me questioning really about Stokes and Rasul Douglas at this point. So we'll get to that. Go ahead.
All right, we'll get to it. Stokes. All right. Josh Myers, second round.
He didn't play great last year, but he was better the first year. But okay.
Amari Big Game Rodgers, third round.
No.
Royce Newman.
Oh. No.
TJ Slayton.
Well, he's had some good rotational play. Yeah.
All right. Shamir Jean Charles.
He's still there.
Yep. Special teams guy. Colvin Lannon.
No, that hasn't worked out as much.
Isaiah McDuffie.
He had some run last year. Yeah.
Kylan Big Game Hill.
No. Again, he was hurt. And then he apparently got his way off the team.
What grade do you give Brian Gutekunst? Because I'm going to give him a B-.
Yeah. Fine. Deal. Sure.
All right. So why does everybody love this guy so much?
B- somewhere in that area.
Why would you take his side over the 17-year quarterback that won you
because
a Super Bowl?
The 17-year quarterback
over his crap.
Because the 17-year quarterback has caused you all of this crap for the last 4 years. And like Brett, the way Brett ended, all of that stuff is forgotten. And because of everything he puts you through for 4 or 5 years, and the exact same thing for Aaron Rodgers. Now, again, I could be wrong, but I don't believe Aaron Rodgers, and you disagree with me on this, but I don't think he's despised and hated like Favre was before this whole thing was done. There were far more people on Favre's side when this ended than there are on Rodgers' side now. Yeah. It seems like a majority of people are on the owner's side on this and are just tired of dealing with Rodgers and are like, dude, just go play with the Jets. Fine, whatever. Let's just go. Let's move on. So I don't think they hate him. I just think they're tired of the act and tired of everything that comes along with dealing with him. And they're ready to move on, like I said. All right, let's go to Matt LaFleur. This is the one that really, really irritates me. And I tweeted out earlier today, or about here on Tuesday. Normally we record on Mondays and we'll get next week. But because of Gutekunst talking Monday night and LaFleur Tuesday morning, we record on Tuesday. I quote tweeted this earlier. And said that I'm more and more coming to your side of thinking on Matt LaFleur. I really am. And especially after today. Like, he is such, I want to say a word and I won't. I'll say wuss. That'd be the word I use because that's not the word I want to use. But he really, really is, man. And it's really starting to bother me. He's really starting to drive me crazy. Now it's almost like he's in a corner holding onto his ball, hoping nobody comes over and picks on him going forward. Because now the spotlight is 1,000% on you and the general manager to make this work, right? It's all on you now, right? How good is your offense? Because you've had the out for the last several years of, well, it's Rodgers' offense. Well, Rodgers is doing this. How much of this is Matt really getting his way on? Now it's all about you and your offense and the quarterback who you were giddy as a schoolgirl to get on draft day when you traded up to get him. I mean, Matt LaFleur couldn't have been happier to get him some Jordan Love. Okay.
You sure about that?
Positive. Go back and watch the video. Dude, he was like, yeah, like this. Oh, my God, get out of here. Me and Gary both said, I'm like, look how giddy that dude is. He was giddier than a schoolgirl when they got Jordan Love. He was happy. I'm telling you right now, now it's on you. And now what's LaFleur's response? LaFleur's response is amazing. About Jordan Love, again, from Ryan Wood's Twitter account, quote, I think we're fooling ourselves and we think he's going to go out and perform to a level of the likes of Aaron Rodgers. This guy's a generational, once-in-a-lifetime talent, and I don't think he started in that role. It was a progression. Okay. Let's talk about this as far as him tampering expectations for Jordan Love. This is how I think he should have went about it. Okay?
Yeah.
Guys, my expectation every year as head coach of the Green Bay Packers is to be in the playoffs. Every year. Compete for Super Bowls. That's what we're here to do. That's what the expectation is going to be for this year. Whether Jordan Love's the quarterback or Aaron Rodgers quarterback or anybody else, same expectation. I see the stuff that's out there that people are picking us to be in last place and nobody has any confidence in Jordan Love. Jordan Love hasn't even started a full season of football and everybody's written off Jordan Love. I have a feeling Jordan Love's going to prove a lot of people wrong this year, and I'm looking forward to it. Next question. That's how it should have been handled. Not this, well, he's not going to be Aaron. And even Aaron, it took Aaron a long time. Like, I don't really think we should have expectations for my guy, Jordan Love. Like, well, just see what happens. You got to be kidding me, man. Stop being so damn soft. Have some confidence in your quarterback. And if you don't have confidence in your quarterback, and if you don't believe in Jordan Love, then that should have been said a million times to Brian Gutekunst before this whole circus played out in front of all of our eyes for the last 2 or 3 years. You all should have been kissing Rodgers' rear end if you didn't believe in Jordan Love. Because to be honest with you, listening to Matt LaFleur today, doesn't sound like to me he believes in Jordan Love all that damn much.
That's why I wonder if he was really all in on that pick or if that was Goots' guy. And yeah, I mean, he smiled, but what was he supposed to do? He had just got the job. He was only there for a year. Yeah, I mean, I've been with the company for 9 years. They still make some decisions, and I have to smile about them. So, I mean, what was he supposed to do? Be like, this guy sucks. He led all of FBS and picks last year out of Utah State. No, I mean, but you know what I don't like is when people act like Rodgers, like it took him forever. All we ever base that off of, everybody's like, well, Rodgers, it took him forever. Yeah, he had crappy mechanics and he played really crappy in preseason games, but we didn't see him. And then when we saw him for a full year, man, like Bill Huber, who I do like, this wasn't a shot at Bill, but I tweeted out today, he said Rodgers went 6-10 in 2008. And again, the way that you guys view Rodgers, like this is just baffling to me. Like that's not a quarterback stat. And the defense blew 4 or 5 leads in that season. I mean, they went 6-10, but Rodgers threw for over 4,000 yards and 28 touchdown passes, man.
Couldn't win a close game to save his life.
When Roethlisberger won the Super Bowl that year, Rodgers had a quarterback rating like 20 points higher, and that was his first year as a starter.
And that really ended up being his career, Ryan, right? I mean, always had great quarterback ratings, but could never finish. That kind of bit was Rodgers' career, if you think about it.
Yeah, but right? He had one top 10 defense. He had a bunch.
I'm just saying, though, if you look at his quarterback numbers, you think, man, this guy probably won several Super Bowls based on how great his numbers are.
Jordan Love goes out there and he throws 28 touchdown passes to 12 picks, throws for over 4,000 yards. Like, hell yeah. And they'll probably still go 6-10 because it'll be the same story. It'll be Joe Barry. It'll be that defense.
Oh, he talked about Joe Barry in the defense. Matt LaFleur did. Let's transition to that.
All right, yeah, because I'm through with the Rodgers stuff. Like, he's gone. Like, let's just get rid of him. I don't even care. A pack of hot dogs and a dirty muffin at this point.
No, I'm not there. No, definitely not there on that. Matt LaFleur and the Packers defense improved late last season. Quote, I think Joe, meaning Joe Barry, did a good job of scaling back a little bit as the season progressed, and I think you saw the effects of that. I thought that allowed our guys to play faster. Your thoughts?
Yeah. All right, thanks for going me on this one, because I got to say right now, just BS on that, because I went back, as I told you, and watched every single start from Aaron Rodgers throughout his career, meaning I had to watch this hellish season and McCarthy's last year. My God, I wanted to rip my eyeballs out by week 9 both times. Week 4 more this season. Anyway, so the defense didn't improve. There were really no adjustments. There were some minor adjustments. The adjustment was they played XFL level quarterbacks, right? They played Justin Fields with no weapons. They played Baker Mayfield with an offense that he had just learned 6 days prior.
True.
You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
They didn't play anybody. They played Tua, who was concussed for an entire half of football and didn't realize he was concussed. And then they played one quarterback with a semi-pulse and Jared Goff, and they couldn't beat him at home. So how much did Joe Barry improve? I got to be honest with you, Sparky. I have no faith in Joe Barry coming into this season. I think of him as a little bit of a stooge. He's that guy. He's like the offensive coordinator for Alabama every year, which the guy's a total mess, but he's there for one reason and one reason only. He's boys with Nick Saban, and Nick Saban's going to try to save his job.
LaFleur's response to you, because he was asked why he expects the Packers defense to start 2023 well with Joe Barry after a strong close to 2022 when a strong finish to 2021 didn't translate to early last season. LaFleur said he's more involved on defense now than he has been in the past. Quote, "We'll see if that's a good thing," end quote. So Matt LaFleur has pretty much said, I don't trust him either, but he's a good dude, so I'm going to go help him on defense. That's pretty much what Matt LaFleur said. I don't trust him either, just like you all, but I'm going to go help him figure this stuff out so we can be better on defense. So now he's coaching offense, and he's got to go help coach defense because the coordinator can't figure it out. But going back to that original quote, this is where I get mad. He said, as far as the defense, I thought that allowed our guys to play faster. I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I heard it back years ago because when they went to the 3-4, Leroy said, dummy proof, like no overthinking. You just free flow. This is real nice and easy. It's all good. And then I think we had Nick Barnett on or something like that. This was years ago. And he was talking about how thick the defensive playbook is. And it's a lot to digest and and all this other stuff. And here we sit again talking about, oh, they're thinking too much. They're thinking too much. We had to dumb it down for them in order for them to play defense at a faster pace so they weren't overthinking things. That's what he said. Pretty much, it was too complicated. They couldn't figure it out. To hell with it. We made it real basic for them so they could figure it out. And now our defense is able to play with the pace that they want them to play with. I'm sick of this. I've heard this so much over my time as a Packer fan of, well, we scaled it back to make it more basic because our defense isn't smart enough to figure it out. It drives me crazy, Ryan.
Every freaking year, I almost swore again on this podcast because, there's been 1 year, literally 1 year, where the defense did anything for me. This was the year where I had real expectations going into the season that this could be the best defense in the league. And it wasn't just me being a homer. Like, everybody was saying the same thing. All those drafts, Rasul Douglas and Devondre Campbell.
Yep.
And you knew there was going to be some regression. Like, there's a reason that those guys, there's a reason why Rasul was on a new team every year.
Drafted two studs on defense, right?
But yeah, that's not supposed to matter because you have Jair Alexander and you have Eric Stokes, who you drafted in the first round. And you have Savage, who you drafted in the first round. Again, this goes back to Goot, man. Like, is it on Joe Barry? And do we really want LaFleur helping more with the defense? What's his resume with the defense? Go check his resume. Quarterbacks, offensive coordinator. He has no business being over there with the freaking defense. That's what I'm talking about. This is becoming a mess really quickly. I wasn't around really for the 80s. I don't like when people bring up the 80s, but I don't want to be the Bears.
This is not the 80s. I was around. This is not the 80s. We're not even close to the 80s. I'm telling you right now, I don't gamble, right? I don't make bets. I don't do none of that stuff. But if I did, I'd put a good amount of money on the Packers to win this division next year. Good amount of money on the Packers to win this division next year. Okay, so let's move on. Matt LaFleur, this is from Ryan Wood's Twitter account, says Rasul Douglas's best position is outside corner. Thinks Douglas can play safety, but he won't start there this spring. Quote, he definitely has the intelligence and ability to play wherever, but for us, he's best when he plays outside. Talking about Rasul Douglas. Okay, let's talk about Keyshawn Nixon. Matt LaFleur. Yeah. Quote, if he can handle it, I've got no problem putting him in there on offense, but we've got to take care of that nickel spot first, though. Time out. Time the hell out. Wait a second. I've got Eric Stokes, Rasul Douglas, and Jair Alexander, and Keyshawn Nixon's going to be the nickel? That's the solution to all of this? So then that means Stokes is the dime? Is that what we're talking about? So it's going to be Jair, Rajul, and Nixon, and Stokes is the dime. Is that where we've gone to? Or are they going to move Stokes to safety? Is that going to be the... Because I don't think they asked him about Stokes. They asked him about Douglas and Keyshawn.
I don't think
Stokes not going to be on the field?
I don't think Stokes is going to play safety. I don't think
they know. On the field?
I don't know if they know, man. Stokes wasn't very good last year. Like, he was good as a rookie when he had to take over for Jair. He looked like he was going to be a lockdown, shutdown corner. But, I mean, he's coming off an injury. We have to wait and see. I have no idea what anything's going to look like. I really don't. I'm hoping everything looks a lot different because there's no way. I mean, how am I supposed to have any clue, man, when, like, there was never any adjustments until week 14 of the season? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I hear you.
So now I have no idea what to expect. They tinker and toy around with things this preseason when they get Stokes back out there. I don't know. I mean, I worry. I don't know. I have a lot of worries about that side of the ball. I have less worries about the offensive side of the ball. How bad could Jordan Love really be if he just goes out?
He's not going to be really bad, guys.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm guessing he'll be average to above average.
Who you guys keep hyping up like he's Mike Allstott. He's not. You have a David Bakhtiari's back. Elton Jenkins is back. That's a decent enough offensive line. You have Watson and Dobbs year 2. Could probably get a veteran wide receiver still, or he'll add somebody through the draft.
Oh, no. No. LaFleur brought that up today, too. Talking about, we got to add a guy to that room. We got to add a vet to that room with Toure, Dobbs, and Watson.
They say this crap every year. I don't.
But they did. They added Sammy Watkins last year.
Yeah, please allow me to forget about that, for the love of God.
Well, that could be the same type of player that they had this year.
That wasn't Sammy Watkins, though, wasn't like the veteran wide receiver. That was the replacement for Devontae Adams.
No, stop. That was just a vet that goes in that room with all the young guys.
Who's the replacement for Devontae then?
They don't need a replacement for Devontae. They need a replacement for Cobb. They need a replacement for him. Because he's been that guy's coach, and that wide receiver was Randall Cobb. He was the one at OTAs with him explaining the offense. He was the one with him in training camp. You even said it. He was the one being the good cop to Rodgers, bad cop throughout the season. They need a Randall Cobb in that room is what they need. That to me is a bigger thing. Let's move on to something else. What?
I agree.
Yeah. Let's move on. One other thing I forgot about Goody. Goody said something along the lines of Crosby coming back and alluded to the fact that Crosby may not be back.
He's gone.
At this point, right?
Yeah.
Mark my words. If this team misses the playoffs, there's going to be probably at least 2 games where the field goal kicker will be blamed. Mark my words. Unless they go get Robbie Gould or something. But if they don't want to pay Crosby, they're not going to pay some other old guy to come in here. So my guess is they're going to be some unknown young kid that they're going to try and put into the whirling winds of Lambeau and say, oh, well, he's a young kid. He'll figure it out. And it's going to cost him the playoffs because you're going to have some young kid missing kicks.
I got to be honest, though. I think it's just – I hate to say this. I love Mason Crosby. Like, this team – I want to see Mason go to the Jets, too. I mean –
oh, my Lord.
It's time to rebuild, man. Like, bad news.
No, I don't think it is. I disagree.
Gutekunst is a joy stealer. This is your guy's guy. He's just literally just butchered all my favorite players of all time.
What are you going to say if they win 10 or 11 games next year?
They're not going to.
No. That's not the question. I said, what are you, Ryan Horvat, going to say if this team goes and wins 10, 11 games with Jordan Love and all these other guys?
I want them to, so I'll be happy. I'll say, go, Pack, go. I'm a little worried right now. I didn't see anything from that defense. Beating Baker Mayfield, barely beating Baker Mayfield. Didn't do it. Losing to Zach Wilson last year, man, doesn't make me feel very confident in that defense.
No, I hear you.
Losing to Taylor Heineke, whatever the F his name is, doesn't make me feel any better. Carson Wentz probably would have beat him too. Who else beat him? Daniel Jones beat him. Kirk Cousins beat him. Justin Fields almost beat him. The Bears had like a 10-point lead in that game. It's not about Jordan Love. This isn't me hating Jordan Love. And really quickly about LaFleur. Yes, like this is my problem with him. You wanted to go back to I got to go back to LaFleur really quick because my problem with him, I want to say it right now. I like LaFleur. I think he's a good enough offensive mind. I think he's a good head coach. I like Matt LaFleur. But I just don't think out of his little like Shanahan coaching tree, he's the beta and they're all a bunch of alphas. Especially now. Like now Robert Saleh cans his brother, steals his boy Hackett, brings him in. steals his quarterback, and now the Jets are going to be relevant this year, right? Kyle Shanahan, every time he runs into his old buddy LaFleur, what does he do to him? Shoves him in a locker.
I got to say, I'm really hoping.
Hell out of him. LaFleur is the beta. Yes, he is.
I'm really hoping the Packers have a better record than the Jets. I'm telling you, I think it's very possible they could have a better record than the Jets, and nothing would make me happier than Rodgers goes to the Jets and has a worse record with the Jets than what the Packers do with Jordan Love. Lazard's over there watching it all go downhill. Rodgers is over there. Saleh gets it all thrown back in his face after all the crap he had pulled on LaFleur. Like, that to me would be amazing. Amazing. Packers get 10, 11 wins in the NFC, and everybody will go, well, the NFC's not that good. It doesn't mean that much. Rodgers had to go through a much tougher schedule than Jordan Love. This isn't Rodgers' fault. I can already hear all the excuses of why Rodgers couldn't figure this out. But you, Aaron, and your representatives, according to Guri, you guys were the ones that wanted to go to New York. Y'all didn't go to Brian and go, hey, we want to go to Washington. Hey, we want to go to New Orleans. Hey, we want to go to Minnesota. No, y'all went to him and said, we want to go to the Jets. And Brian said, okay, go talk to him. Fine. Without making a compensation deal. Still blows my mind that was not done. And we'll talk more about that trade, Charles Robinson's piece in Yahoo coming up on our next podcast. We will record tomorrow, Wednesday, but we'll post it on Thursday to give this podcast a little bit of run here on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then we'll post a new one on Thursday morning. We'll do mock draft Wednesday. It's your turn, right? It's your turn for mock draft Wednesday. Ryan's turn for mock draft Wednesday. We'll go over the Charles Robinson trade in Yahoo as well. Any fun stuff coming up this week? Do you have a Final Four pick yet? You said Florida Atlantic, right? You're on that one for the championship?
Yeah, Florida Atlantic. UConn seems too easy just to win it all. They're so damn good right now. So I'm going to stick with the Owls, though. I think we'll get Florida Atlantic will beat San Diego State, and then I think UConn beats Miami. Although picking against Miami right now is doesn't seem to be very lucrative.
I love Larinaga. I'd love to see him win it.
Me too. Yeah, we got baseball starting up, too.
Oh, that'll be exciting. Betting baseball, there's nothing worse in my opinion. He is Ryan.
I'm actually with you on that.
Yeah, Ryan Horvat. Follow him on Twitter. Ryan Horvat. Follow me at Sparky Radio. Enjoy the rest of your day. Another edition of Curd and Long.